Hello ladies and gentlemen, and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, it is going to be another ranking. And I am going to be ranking all 8 of the Harry Potter movies. So if you've been following along with my channel over the past couple of months, you will have noticed that I did a rewatch series for all of the Harry Potter movies. And each time after I rewatched a movie, I released a retro movie review to share my full thoughts. And just recently, I finally dropped my last retro review for the series with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. So now, to cap things off, I have finally reached my ranking. Of course, if you'd like to get my more in-depth thoughts on each and every single one of the Harry Potter flicks, be sure to check out all of my retro movie reviews that I did. And yes, I realize that this video will be titled All 8 Harry Potter Movies Ranked from Worst to Best, but I really don't think that there's a worst Harry Potter movie. So I guess a more appropriate title would be All 8 Harry Potter Movies Ranked from Least to Favorite, because honestly, I do love them all. Before we get into the actual ranking itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my ranking videos. So be sure to check that out, and I guarantee you'll find something you like. And so, without further ado, let's hop right into things. Number 8. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. I really hate to put any of these movies here. Like I said in the intro, this list is more so a least favorite to favorite kind of list. Despite my love for this movie and many of its great elements like the Ministry of Magic sequence, the stunning cinematography, the uniquely animated tale of the three brothers in the Deathly Hallows, and the utter devastation of Dobby's death, this movie really is just sort of a stage setter. It's right there in the title, Part 1. It is the first part of a two-part finale. It is the first half of a story, and honestly, not a lot happens story-wise. They spend almost the entire movie trying to destroy just one Horcrux. Either way, I still gave this movie an 8.5 out of 10, which is a far more than respectable score, but I do feel that it is the weakest of the 8. Number 7. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I really wish I could have put this movie higher up, because it is my favorite of the books. But there is just so much they chopped out that I really wish was in here. But even with its more narrow focus, there is still so much to enjoy and appreciate. Umbridge is unbearable, so bravo to the actress. Dumbledore's army is awesome, and the main focus, rightfully so. Then on top of that, you throw in the final portion at the Ministry of Magic and the death of Sirius Black. And what you're left with is one solid entry into the franchise. Number 6. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This one has always been and will likely always remain the creepiest of the franchise to me. It borderline terrified me as a kid, with whisperings of kill through the halls, blood on the walls, and students turning up petrified. I do think in a lot of respects that this entry could possibly be seen as weaker than the previous two. It is far more kid-friendly and a little too overacted by some, but it still maintains much of the magical charm that made the first one so special. Dobby is a wonderful new addition, and the flying car sequences are a joy. Number 5. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I'd say this is likely the most underrated and overlooked entry in the franchise. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. This and the Order of the Phoenix are the two entries in this franchise that I've watched the least. But after this most recent rewatch, that is definitely going to stop now. I love the increased focus on Draco. They flesh out the character better than ever before. There's also a much heavier focus on Harry and Dumbledore's relationship, which works marvelously well. They've also interjected some lighthearted humor, which I appreciated. Hermione and Ron, as well as Harry and Ginny's relationships begin to form. And to cap things off, you have Dumbledore's death and everything surrounding it, which was executed perfectly by director David Yates. Number 4. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This is pretty much Triwizard Tournament the movie. There really isn't time for much else. So thankfully, the Triwizard Tournament is immaculate. Each task offers up unique challenges, twists, and turns. The opening attack on the Quidditch World Cup is terrifying. Mad-Eye Moody is a spectacular new addition and easily one of my favorite characters in the entire franchise. Cedric's death comes as a complete shock, and Voldemort finally returns, giving us just a mere taste of Ralph Fiennes' brilliance. Number 3. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. This film is probably my biggest comfort film. I've watched it more times than I could ever possibly care to count, and I love it more and more with each and every rewatch. This was by far the best possible way to kick off this franchise and ensure its success. Chris Columbus was the perfect choice to direct. Each and every cast member was perfectly casted and gave superb performances, and of course, John Williams crafted yet another one of cinema's most iconic themes. I'd also like to add as a final point that this movie captures the feeling of magic better than any other in this franchise. I will never not be in absolute awe when we first reach Diagon Alley. I will never not be completely coated in goosebumps when we first lay eyes on Hogwarts. The rest of the movies, rightfully so, do put an extra emphasis on Harry, his friends, and their journeys, their little adventures, the overall story. But this movie, I felt, always put an extra emphasis on bringing the wizarding world to life and making it feel real, as if it all jumped right from the pages onto the screen. Number 2. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. This is the perfect finale. A grand, epic, emotional, and most importantly, satisfying conclusion. I cannot even begin to imagine the pressure that the cast and crew must have been under when trying to deliver on this one. But they rose to the occasion and thrived under the pressure. It ties off every loose end, each cast member gave their best performances in the franchise, the Battle of Hogwarts is brutal and magnificent, and it hits all of the right emotional beats. I genuinely do not have a single flaw with this flick. It not only lived up to my expectations, but exceeded every one of them, closing out one of the most consistent, magical, and iconic stories in movie history. I will always be thankful that this series has been such an important and key piece of my life, and that the conclusion closed things out in the most beautiful and powerful way imaginable. Always. And number 1, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Okay, it was so unbelievably close between this one and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. But damn it, Alfonso Cuarón's direction is just far too good to not put it here. I love the entire Sirius Black storyline. Remus Lupin is among my favorite characters in the franchise. And I will never forget my first time seeing a Dementor. And this movie is really just major reveal after major reveal towards the end. Sirius Black is actually Harry's godfather and innocent. Scabbers, Ron's pet rat, is actually Peter Pettigrew the traitor, and Lupin is a werewolf, which is a pretty clever play on words. Then you toss in Buckbeak and the Boggart training scene, the Time Turner sequence, and Harry casting the Patronus to save himself and Sirius. It's all bloody brilliant from top to bottom. Not to mention, this was the movie that marks the shift in tone to a more mature, dramatic, and darker series of films. Just like the last entry, I do not have a single flaw with this movie either. Ask me tomorrow and I may be switching these top 2 entries around, but as of today, this is my favorite Harry Potter movie. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my ranking. While you're at it, feel free to let me know how you would rank all 8 of the Harry Potter films and what ranking you'd like to see me do next. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching. And that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.